Currently, what could be stopping any of us from achieving our highest potential is a frame of mind. That's it. It's not the weather. It's not because someone died. It's not because of a debilitating injury maybe that you're not achieving your goals. You could be in a situation like standing in front of a wall you're trying to get to the other side of, like a goal, but you're standing so close to it that it seems way too tall to get over without maybe a ladder. Plus, you look to the right, you look to the left, and it seems like it doesn't end. When in reality, you could take maybe 5-10 steps back and come to realize the thing is only 20 feet wide. All you need to do is walk around. There will always be an argument about physical limitations, I get it, but most people will have definitely not have tapped out their physical capacity, let alone their mental capacity. And most of us leave so much of our potential on the table than blame something else because it's usually the easier thing to do. And we think it takes more effort and is potentially going to be more painful to look at something in a different way, only to realize what's more painful is the regret later, thinking I could have and probably should have done way more than I did. I want to cover two frames of mind on two very universal topics as examples that have served me extremely well in my life so far. The first is about life itself and what it means to be alive. And the second is about working out and working on this physical blessing that we've been gifted with, that is our body. Now, this first encounter of a reframe, I didn't really have a choice with, but the second I did have a choice with, which is why these two work well as examples. Now, I remember the first time I found out that in life we will eventually die. I was about 7. My sisters always used to remind me that I used to go run and hide in a cupboard like I was trying to escape death. I think this is also beautifully ironic, and it seems to be what most people do with their lives. Potentially wasting their lives, not realizing death is coming quicker than we think, and hiding in a cupboard or ignoring the fact it's not going to do anything. People in life hiding in a cupboard might be drowning out the bleak realization with vices including food, drugs, alcohol, or just living at a level that is not at their full potential, as if they're not going to be filled with regret laying on their deathbed at the end of their life. Fuck that. Get out of the fucking cupboard. The only way you're going to escape death is by living, and living to your fullest potential. And I know this sounds so fucking cliche. Now, I personally think that most people are pretty close to death thinking they're living, when in actual fact, they're more or less just surviving. All right, this is called a survival bias. You're alive, so you think everything's fine. This, in my eyes, is just settling, just going through the motions, essentially just waiting for death. In my opinion, this sounds like a horrible way to live. Now, I want to come around to the reframe that I didn't have a choice about. The whole notion of death has always been within me. For some reason, I've had that kind of frame of mind from a young age, but even still, that frame of mind wavered as I got older until one frame smacked me in the face. Again, a frame that I didn't have a choice about. At 12 years old, my mum lived life so much. She was such a cool example of making the most out of life. She scuba dived all around the world, she rode motorcycles, lived in so many different countries, spoke different languages. She was the person to make the most out of any situation, turning a dull room into a fucking disco. Naturally, I wanted to follow in her footsteps and do the same pretty much in my own way. Doing all different sports, challenging myself all the time. Two that really stuck were Taekwondo and BMX. Was absolutely obsessed. But all at the same time, I never lived with a level of gratitude that I have now from this one event that shook me to my fucking core. I will essentially never be able to take this reframe away, and nor would I want to. One Sunday, my friend and I were going to the skate park to ride our bikes, and my mum was going out on her motorbike for the day. I didn't even get to the skate park before my sister called me to come pick me up because my mum had been in an accident. I thought we were going to the hospital. So at that point in time, my frame of mind was very much the same, which is what I want to draw your attention to. Because for some reason, it takes life to really fucking smack us in the face to wake up and potentially have a frame of mind changed for us. The change of frame for me happened in a split second, in a moment. Now, that frame for me, the one that drastically smacked me in the face at that moment, was when my sister bear hugged me after she just flew out the car coming to pick me up. My sister bear hugged me like she knew I was going to run away, like we all seem to want to do from pain. And she said, she's gone. My mum hit a car head on so quickly, to our knowledge, she had died instantly. Now beforehand, I knew we were going to die, but having no one around, just gone like that, it wasn't as real as that moment. And even after that, hearing the words coming out of my sister's mouth, because I hadn't actually seen my mum, my head played so many tricks with me. Maybe like, she's alive. I mean, after all, my sister just said words out of her face. Maybe she misheard something. Now, I've even gone to other funerals since that day, and nothing hit as hard as when I reached for my mum's hand. A hand that was so warm to the touch, so loving, so gentle yet encouraging. Only for that day, as she lay there in that coffin, for that hand to be ice cold. New frame. Life is fucking short, and you or anyone around you could be gone in an instant. Live it. Even our family had a positive frame of mind that we pulled from that event, which was my mum lived life, and she literally died doing what she loved. Now, from that moment on, I obviously couldn't see life the same. In a way, I'd been blessed with such a tragedy that forced me to appreciate life very differently. Like, holy crap, I get to wake up every day and experience life. I get to. Don't get me wrong, following that event was fucking painful. Now, from that event, I built frames of mind that served me, like building a physique, overcoming mental pain through pushing myself physically, bettering my fitness, then even building my own gym and business at an age of 21 to help others do the same. But also, I had a frame of mind that didn't serve me in the long run. Almost like this fear of missing out and wanting to live life to the fullest in other ways. I saw all the guys in this industry I looked up to just jacked out of their fucking mind, and I wanted that, which led to steroid use, trying to keep up. And then I felt like I was so disciplined on the fitness and business side of things, running a gym, and I saw my friends going out on the weekend and doing drugs, so I didn't want to miss out on that either. Essentially, my frame of mind for living life, for me, was doing everything either 0 or 100. And of course, through experience, it all gave me so many different perspectives. Again, more frames of mind. Another main one, which I ended up learning balance from: sometimes you can't have your cake and eat it too. Trashing your body doing drugs every weekend while trying to build your fitness plus a business, it's very counterintuitive and makes things so much harder. I can promise anyone, it's much easier to give up vices and make anything that only builds you your new obsession. Now, many might think, I'm not doing drugs, so I'm fine. Now, that frame of mind, it is a very slippery slope. Your drug might be food, all the way to a desire that takes you off course from your goals. I like to use my story because it's a little more extreme than the usual, but please don't discard the smaller things in life. I still do it these days. I even compare myself to my old self. I could easily say, I'm not doing drugs anymore, so, it's nothing. I only want to compare myself to the best I've been and continue to build from there. Now, the second frame and example is not as heavy, but something everyone can resonate with, since a lot of people want to be fit. I personally think so much of life's success can come from building this beautiful gift that we've been blessed with, our body. Just remember, it's an example that you can use with working out, but I encourage you to try and expand it onto other things and areas of your life. Try to look at something you know will build you in life and get you closer to your goals, but you're struggling to do it. All right, so that's essentially just a frame of mind and the way that you're looking at it. I totally get it. Sometimes we need life to smack us in the face with a new frame of mind, but hopefully with a bit of knowledge and a new way to look at things with some self-awareness, trust me, you have the power to impose these new frames and new actions upon yourself. You can drastically change the trajectory of your life simply from changing your frame. And many people don't like going to the gym because the effort that is required. Maybe it feels hard, or maybe they don't like the burning sensation. I think a lot of people actually use other excuses such as time or other crap, when in reality, time is never the excuse. You could literally get down on the floor and start doing 10 push-ups. Even if you did that every day, you would get better. What is 10 push-ups? Come on. Now, even someone as a former personal trainer and gym owner, I still have my inner cupcake that wants to come out and says, yeah, no time today, I've been busting all day. You have to shut that down so quick. So let's take pain as your actual issue and frame that could be deterring you, and flip this so you're actually more drawn to working out. Again, working out, just an example. With a new frame, you'll be more likely to do it, and at the very least, not see it as a negative. So using gym as the example and pain being the issue, let's draw out the level of pain one can experience in the gym, so we're looking at it from a bird's eye view. You have barely feel it, essentially not sure if it's doing anything, all the way to your muscles are completely giving out, your body is in so much pain that your nervous system is fucked and it feels like you're on the verge of blacking out. So most would look at the very end of the scale and say, fuck that, I don't want to be in that much pain. Here's the thing, you don't have to be. To get amazing results, your training is going to fluctuate anyway. Many people don't look at their nervous system as a consideration when training, which needs to be taken into account. Now, before I get into the finer details and the weeds, I'll acknowledge that sometimes knowledge is the issue behind not being able to see things differently, aka a different frame. However, my argument against that is we have more information around us than sometimes we know what to do with. Information is not the issue. I think many people have an application issue, which could come down to the way you're looking at it, aka frame of mind. So, throughout, let's say, this 12-week training period, some of the best results can come from pushing yourself to just feeling it and slowly increasing difficulty towards the end of the 12-week period. Most of the time, if ever, you will never need to get to this blackout stage of training. This, if anything, could be doing you more harm than actual good. So, unless you're doing steroids to offset the cortisol and stress in your system, you want to be training a lot smarter, which includes progressively building intensity. Again, I didn't want to get into the finer details, but information is not the issue. This information is not groundbreaking. Go to a channel like Jeff Nippard on YouTube, breaking down some of the best fitness advice. Highly recommend it. If you search for anyone else, just make sure to look out for people that take natural and not natural into consideration. And he does a really good job at that. I don't judge either way, but just know that there is a difference in the way that you will be training and resting. So back to the point, this new frame. You now know that you have this window of pain that you can now expect. You know you have to push yourself a little more than just feeling anything, and you actually don't need to push yourself all the way to blackout to get results. But now with this new understanding, what if you slapped another frame on top of this one? The most pain you will ever need to feel in the gym is not even blackout level pain. Think about it like this. That pain that you only ever need to push yourself up to is the maximum pain you will ever need to feel in the gym. That's it. It won't get any harder than that. So, technically speaking, gym is not going to get harder or even more painful. You just need to show up and you will literally just keep getting better and stronger. And I want to flip the frame again. Gym is not going to get easier, but it's also not going to get harder. You can't just keep going past blackout, okay? So again, gym is not going to get easier. You are just going to keep getting better and stronger, looking more jacked, more disciplined, like an individual that can literally just run through a wall. When in reality, you were putting in a very similar effort that you can now expect, right, on that spectrum, but you're just doing it consistently. I can tell you from experience that you just get used to it. After getting results over a long enough time period, pain starts to become addictive. You start to equate the right level of pain with results. This again is a new frame altogether, which is easier said than done putting into action when you're starting out, which is also why I encourage you to look at the first frame I mentioned. Again, gym won't get easier, you will just keep getting better. Or the other way to look at it, gym won't get harder than pushing yourself to this expected pain level or threshold, you will just keep getting better. Now, I do also want to cover one more very important, probably the most important benefit out of the gym is literally lifting your vibration and just feeling better. These days for me, it is honestly just the feeling that it produces. While I do want to look awesome and like I could probably run through a wall, the feeling is what I chase every day, which in itself becomes addictive, but I can totally understand in the very early days, all you're probably thinking about is the pain. Now, anything in your life that you know will build you and get you closer to your goals, look at what you are calling the issue, whatever it is. And just like standing at a wall too close that you think is way too tall or way too wide, raise your self-awareness, take a few steps back and really look at the issue for what it is. Because self-mastery is self-honesty. You need to be honest with yourself. Many of us, including myself, will inflate the so-called issue when really it's just an excuse. Find a way to reframe it so it will serve you instead of break you down. Now, if this video was helpful, like and subscribe for more. And remember, align your body and mind, and your soul will take you the rest of the way.